All right, let's talk about something that if you work with Azure, you have definitely seen. It's a single, mysterious IP address that just seems to be everywhere. We're going to find out what it is, and more importantly, why you really can't ignore it.
So you've seen this in your logs, right? You're managing your virtual machines, looking at network traces, and this one IP address, 168.63.129.16. It's just there, all the time. And you gotta wonder, what is this thing doing? And why is it talking to my stuff?
Well, guess what? You're not going crazy. Everybody asks this question. It's one of the most common head-scratchers for Azure admins. So today, we're going to pull back the curtain and solve this mystery once and for all.
So yeah, let's just lay out the problem here. We've got this IP address that seems to be woven into the very fabric of Azure. It's kind of like the plumbing in the walls of a house. You know it's there, it's fundamental, but its purpose isn't immediately obvious.
It really feels like this IP has its hands in everything, right? Facilitating all this communication you might not have even known was happening. So the big questions are, what is it really doing? Should I be worried about it? And why is it so darn important?
Okay, drumroll please. It's time for the big reveal. The best way, and I mean the absolute best way to understand this IP is to think of it as Azure's virtual air traffic control tower.
Okay, so here's the official line from Microsoft. And the key word to really latch onto here is virtual. This isn't some server rack humming away in a data center somewhere. It's a special, well-known endpoint that acts as a super secure communication line between your VM and the Azure platform itself.
And this is where that analogy just clicks, right? If your virtual machine is an airplane flying around in the Azure sky, then this IP address is its control tower. It's constantly communicating, giving it flight plans, checking its engine status, and making sure everything is running smoothly to keep it flying safely.
So let's get into the specifics. What makes this IP so special? Well, for starters, it's a public IP, but it's a special one, owned entirely by Microsoft. And get this, it's the exact same address in every single Azure region on the planet, including the national clouds. It's static, so it will never, ever change. But maybe the most important part is that it's safe. Communication from this IP can only be initiated by the internal Azure platform, making it an inherently trusted entity.
So what does this control tower actually do all day? It's not just sitting there idly. It's juggling 5 absolutely critical jobs that keep your VMs online and functioning the way they should. Let's dig in. Okay, let's run through the list. First, it handles VM agent communication. This is literally your VM raising its hand and telling Azure, hey, I'm up and I'm ready to work. Second, it provides crucial DNS services. Third, it's how the Azure Load Balancer sends health probes, constantly tapping your VM on the shoulder saying, you still good over there? Fourth, it's the DHCP service that gives your VM its IP address in the first place. And finally, for PAS roles, it manages those essential heartbeat messages. So you see, if you take this IP away, your VM is basically flying in a total blackout. All right, so that's the what. Now for the so what. How do we actually deal with this thing from a security perspective? This brings us to probably the most practical, need-to-know part of this whole explainer, the rules of the road for safe communication. Yeah, this is the question that keeps network admins up at night, isn't it? How do I configure my firewalls to let this critical service do its job without just opening the floodgates and compromising my security? And here it is, the golden rule. You absolutely, positively do need to allow outbound traffic to this IP on a couple of specific ports right inside your VM's local firewall. But, and this is a big one, what you must never do is block this IP address. Just don't do it. If you do, you're going to have a bad time. Your VM can lose its network config, get marked as unhealthy, and pretty much just fall off the grid.
Now, things get a little more nuanced when we talk about network security groups, or NSGs. See, the most important traffic, that VM agent communication, it actually bypasses NSGs altogether. Azure knows it's too critical to risk being blocked. For things like load balancer probes, there's already a default rule in place for you using a service tag. Really, the only part you might actively manage here is DNS. Let's say you're using your own custom DNS servers. You can create an NSG rule to block traffic to the Azure Platform DNS tag.
Okay, so what happens when things go wrong? Let's say your VM is acting up, it seems unresponsive, and you suspect there's a problem with the platform connection. How do you actually troubleshoot the connection to this vital IP? So your VM has just gone dark. It's not responding. One of the very first things you should do is check its lifeline. Let's see if the airplane is still talking to the control tower. But wait, before you type a single command, this part is absolutely critical. You have to run these tests with elevated privileges. That means run as administrator on Windows or as root on Linux. If you don't, the tests might fail, but it'll be for the wrong reason, and you'll just end up chasing your tail.
And here are the tools for the job. Super simple. On a Windows machine, you can pop open PowerShell and use the test net connection command. Just point it right at the IP in port 80. On Linux, a quick curl command will tell you everything you need to know. If you get a success back from either of these, that is a really good sign that the line to the control tower is wide open.
So if you remember just one thing from all of this, let it be this. 168.63.129.16 isn't some random, sketchy IP to be firewalled off. It's the absolute lifeline between your VM and the entire Azure platform. Understanding it isn't just nerdy trivia, it's fundamental to running healthy resources in the cloud.
And that really makes you think, doesn't it? We've just pulled back the curtain on this one piece of invisible infrastructure. So it makes you wonder, what else is out there? What other hidden wires and secret control towers are humming away in the background, making our cloud world go round every single day? Something to chew on. Thanks for tuning in.